Welcome to What's Tracking, Episode 2. I'm Marcel James. I'm here with Colin, Steve, guys.
What's tracking today, Marcel?
What's tracking? This week on What's Tracking, we're going to talk about more news out of NAB.
Amazing.
That's great. And then a product spotlight. We're going to talk about Rgrain. If you want to make your videos better, this is like the first tool I get. Besides having good audio to match up your video, which is what we're here to help you with, we want your video to look better too.
That's correct, sir.
Rgrain technology, awesome. You got to get it. I love it. And then we're going to talk to Avedis. Now, you're friends with Avedis.
I love Avedis. He's
amazing. We love that guy.
He's a genius.
Avedis is brilliant. He could talk over our heads, but he can also talk on that level that you understand. And then for our viewers, what we want to find out from Avedis is why do his mic pre's or professional grade mic preamps sound better? And why do you want to plug your microphone into a great sounding mic preamp to get better sound? You know, and that sounds so, you know, some people will say, oh, that's obvious. But a lot of people just say, why doesn't my mixer sound as good? Or I'm recording audio on my camera.
Why does it not sound as good? Folks need this. They need to, they're mixing audio and video. They need this. And
absolutely, we need this. We're getting
he's self-taught. It's amazing. No. He designs circuits. He's self-taught. He works. His shop is so cool, and his dad hand makes the op amps and his equipment.
Still?
It's a family show. Oh, without a doubt.
This is not just this is not, you know, there's a lot of smart people. Avedis is like I would say top 5 in the world audio designers right now, right?
He's up there, yeah. He's a very famous guy.
And news out of NAB this week. Lacie announced 2 new products that are both Thunderbolt 2.
Amazing.
And one will hold 8 6-terabyte Seagate drives in a one-space rack, which is just slightly larger than the Zen Studio. They're for up to 48 terabytes in a 1U rack. And then they also introduced sort of a box size 5 big RAID device. We'll be scrolling some specs on both of those right now on the bottom. So very cool stuff coming out for not only 4K video, but as you said, 6K video. Which is, what's the difference between 4K? Like, what can you see on
2K?
6K? There you go. It's 2K better. So, Eris Capital, I'm pronouncing it Eris, just bought Guitar Center. They bought a controlling stake. They were a capital firm that had loaned money, I believe, I have this story right, to Bain Capital, and they took over management of Guitar Center. So we want to wish Eris Capital and Guitar Center the best of luck with their new ownership and probably some new upper management. And we have a lot of friends over there. They're a dealer we talk to all the time, so we wish the best for Guitar Center. We want to see them thrive because it's great for the industry that you can go down to the store. You can go down the street and buy a guitar. You can order Zens.
Yep.
You can get, obviously, you know, they sell all kinds of recording tools to make you better. They sell the kinds of better mic pre's we're talking about.
Yep.
And so they're more than just a guitar store, and we wish them luck. A product that we're spotlighting this week is Rgrain, and these are film grain plates. The designer is a guy named Martin, and he designed this to look just like film. And basically, you can take these parts of film and overlay them over your video. So all you GoPro guys, you want something to look like 35mm or a gritty 16mm or maybe an old style nostalgic 8mm. You take this Rgrain film plates and you just overlay them over your video. No, they're cool because, you know, you can. Sounds awesome.
It does.
They don't make sound.
No, Steve was saying. Steve, tell him what you said to me about what you thought about it.
Yeah, it was the most realistic film grain that I've seen so far. I use FCP7 and I plugged it into some of the videos that I'm currently editing and
Final Cut Pro 7, but it works in Final Cut Pro X.
Yeah, it's compatible with every
any video editor. Drag it in, you get it. It starts at $50.
It's powerful.
And I think the 6K version is like 99 bucks. And to get film. It used to cost, just a couple of years ago, it cost thousands of dollars to do that.
And now you can do it for 50
You have to go to like Rgrain, and you can see they're still more expensive. And not to say they're not maybe slightly better, but these look fantastic for under 100 bucks. And we're gonna make it even, 3 of our viewers, we're gonna make it even easier. What are we gonna do?
Give it away now.
We're gonna give 3 copies of Rgrain Complete to 3 viewers. Just write us with Rgrain giveaway in the subject and email us at whatstracking@gmail.com.
And then we're gonna
pick 3 lucky winners out of the people that, and the rest of them we're gonna put in our newsletter and keep you up to date. If it's cool, if you want to opt out, that's cool too. So we're not going to force anything on you.
No one's going to want to opt out.
We want you to win, and we want to keep you updated because we're here to serve you. We're here to make audio for video sound better, and we're here to make audio guys that are tripping over their cameras and don't know what to do. We want you guys to make better video because there's a lot of crappy stuff out there, and we want it to be better. No, there's a lot of people buying cameras. There's never been so many people buying high def cameras.
It's amazing.
It's an explosion. And we were talking about this, how we wanted our show to evolve because we want to offer more and more solutions. So our next guest is brilliant, as we said. He's a friend, he's Avedis. We sat down and we talked to Avedis about microphone preamp technology, and here's that interview. We're talking tonight with Avedis Kavajian. Everyone calls you Avedis.
Yeah.
Well known in the audio world, and we're introducing them to the rest of the world. You're really a brilliant designer of mic pre's, EQs, compressors. What got you into designing electronics?
Probably because of early on I was always doing mechanical stuff. In my teenage years I was working on cars. One thing leads to another. You're doing mechanical stuff, you're interested in music. My brother and I are crazy about listening to these records and looking up the lyrics and stuff. So music and mechanics, and I was also dabbling in electronics all the time. So just put it all together, and next thing you know, I'm working on electronics. I didn't think I would take it this far, but it's been kind of fun.
But wasn't your dad also into electronics?
No, my dad's a welder.
Okay.
Just a welder.
So that's where the mechanical side came from.
Yeah. I mean, he had a man's job. I mean, it was really tough. And I couldn't weld. I mean, it was really tough. And I tried it a few times, and I thought, I'll just do it on a small scale. So the soldering iron was right for me.
But I did hear your dad worked with you some. Or has.
My dad does. My dad does. He's retired. And, he just wants something to do. And he was welding. Now, like I said, he's doing the small scale stuff. He's still welding, but now he's soldering. And he does great work. He just never messes up. He's very meticulous.
How does one take the leap from having mechanical inclinations to designing audio circuits at a super high level for the best studios in the world?
I think it's just curiosity. You're just curious about how things work. And when everything's not handed to you, I didn't go to a university to learn this. I did go to college. I learned, math and science and took a lot of courses and philosophy. I was actually a philosophy tutor for a while. But never took formal classes in electronics. It was just a matter of, taking it apart to see how it worked, and then changing it and modifying it. So it was just curiosity that drove me, and I realized that I could just buy a bunch of textbooks that maybe college courses in the 1970s were using, and I could just learn a lot from these books and take apart a bunch of audio stuff and see what was going on and test it out.
Did Avedis Audio come before your work with BAE? Was that already in existence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was working for Brent, I didn't work directly for him. I was like contract labor, so I had to have my own company. And it was actually Brent Averill's idea that when I made the op amp, he said, put your name on the op amp. You have a weird name. Go ahead and put your name on the op amp. And so that's how it started.
Started the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So to give people a little background, we're talking about Brent Averill, whose company later became British Audio Engineering, and is now owned by Mark
Loftman, yeah.
Mark Loftman.
Yeah.
And our friend Colin does some rep work with them as well, some artists and product representation for them. And you're the designer of the op amp used in the famed BAE EQs.
Yeah, the 312A preamp, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that mic pre is really the quintessential kind of op amp driven preamp. I mean, you're talking about a very clean, direct path. It's just transformer, op amp, transformer. Not a whole lot in the circuit path. No capacitors in the circuit path, and maybe we'll get into that later. But it's a really nice direct preamp and very punchy, very dynamic.
And it all starts with your custom designed power supply.
Yeah, well, we were using at Brent Evil's shop. Brent was using off-the-shelf power supplies, which worked really well. They were very safe, and then he had a little module for the phantom power that didn't always work that well, so it needed a redesign. So power supplies is one of the first things that I designed. I recommend anybody getting into electronics learning power supplies first.
So tell us a little bit, let's start there. Why? Because this is power and power technology. There's a lot of what would you call it? Fallacy.
Yeah.
Myth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of myth. So let's boil it down to why your power supply works in these products so well as opposed to something off the shelf. Why design a custom tailored power supply for, as you were talking earlier before our show, about impedances and so on, and why the power is so important to have the proper impedance needed for a great mic signal?
The power is important. I mean, you have to kind of customize the power for the job that it's doing. You know, it's feeding the energy to the rest of the circuit. And so you got to make sure that whatever it's feeding, that power that it's feeding, that it's the right adequate power. Of course, you want to over-design a little bit. But the main thing about a power supply is just safety. It has to be done safe. It has to be done so that if you accidentally short something out or a component inside the mic pre, something shorts out, something happens, the insulation of the power supply, the transformer breaks down and shorts out. You got to make sure that there's fuses in place and also that there's regulation so that if there is a short, the regulator just turns off and then turns on when the short circuit is.
So when you talk about safety, you're talking about safety for the unit itself and the circuits, or the person holding a microphone at the other end, or the sound?
Mainly, the first and foremost must be the person holding the microphone. You know, that's number one. You can't shock somebody or have any chance of that happening. So that's number one. In this kind of world, audio sound is last, but if you can do all three of them equally well, why not? You know, so power supply design is something that that I did very early on when I was working with Jeff Tanner. He would hand me schematics, and I would go put these things together and learn a lot about how power supply is done and the heat dissipation and the heat sinks and so on. So I learned that and designed a really good power supply for BAE, and it's been very reliable. It works really well.
So it's powering the units, the circuits, the op amps. You talk about the transformers. Let's talk a little bit about transformers. That's another thing that gets bantered around a lot. What can you do to demystify the transformer?
It's the first thing that your microphone gets connected to. So your microphone, you got your XLR cable, you plug it into the mic pre, and the first thing that's inside of it is the transformer. Sometimes there's a pad in front of it, but usually it sees that transformer first. So it's really important for that microphone to see a consistent load on that transformer, meaning that usually when you read specs, it'll say the input impedance of such and such mic pre might be 1 k ohms. But is it really 1 k ohms at all frequencies? Is it 1 k ohm at all the frequencies that microphone can put out? Sometimes no. You know, it depends on the quality of that transformer. So the transformer matters a whole lot. And the transformers that I have always specified, I test them down at 10 hertz all the way up to 40 kilohertz. And I make sure that the input impedance of that transformer stays consistent. And what that does is it makes sure that the microphone connected to it, the microphone sees a consistent load. And when it sees a consistent load throughout the frequency that it can produce, the microphone is happy. It's producing what it's designed. You know, you're hearing what is going on with that microphone. If you're loading it heavily, say in a very top end, say the transformer is not designed well and there's too much capacitance in it, for example, then at higher frequencies, you're putting more load on the microphone. It tends to have a weird phase shift kind of sound, and it tends to kind of sound a little dull. And then you got to make up for it. Then you got to EQ, and you're introducing more phase shift. So we don't want to correct things later down the line. We want to get it right from the beginning.
So you have a technology with a properly designed transformer that is powered by a properly designed power supply. Talk to us then a little bit about the op amp itself, because I know that's a key and integral part of your design.
Yeah, the op amp in the 312A, for example, and also the EQ that I make, the E27 EQ, the op amp in that is specifically designed to drive an output transformer. So it's got a lot of output current, as they say. Output current just means that that little op amp has a lot of muscle coming out. And if you put a low frequency through it, it can put that muscle through an output transformer with no problems. So you're going to hear all the harmonics going through that transformer really well. All the harmonics in a low end, all the harmonics in a top end. When you have a weak output, you know, from the op amp, it tends to have some of that stuff being lost, and we don't want to lose any of it. We want to grab all the harmonics, all the coloration that the transformers can put out. You know, the transformers got a lot of rich harmonics, and we want to make sure that that comes through.
I noticed I used to use de-essers a lot, and then when I started using mic pre's that are like yours and yours, I didn't have to de-ess as much. Is that the reason?
That is the reason, yes. Because the S's, the high frequencies, I mean, it gets complicated. There's a lot of things I'm leaving out, but the phase response matters too.
Well, to summarize for our viewers, having a great, and I'm going to show the back of this, handmade in California, which I love. I mean, just a wonderful build quality to your. Now, this is the desktop mic pre, but you also make them in the rack units. But this is something, if you need a one-channel mic pre, this sells for $11.95, right?
I think so, yeah.
And so around $1,200, so really close to $1,000, one channel that is world-class, handmade and designed by the great Avedis. Highly recommend one of these. I have friends that use these all the time, and they just rave about them. So that is a product that is going to allow you to get a nice clean top end without having to de-ess a lot if done properly and tracked properly with a good microphone, and not have to EQ as much because you're getting that full body signal.
Yeah, you get it right the first time, you track it right, it sounds good, and then if you need to EQ, it's just a correctional thing. It's just a little bit of flavor that you're adding. You're not trying to fix a problem as much.
Or you're taking out maybe a little low end from a vocal when you're mixing in some bass line.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Avedis, thanks so much. This has been highly informative for me, and I hope a lot of those out there, I'm sure people out there got a lot from this and learned a lot from this.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks to Avedis. Thanks, Colin, Steve, and all of you guys for viewing. We're very excited to be doing this. I mean, I have had so much fun. We've got so much stuff coming up and so many guests planned. I can just tell you it's coming together really nicely. So this is just fun. Thanks, guys.
And thank you, Marcel.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you, Colin.
You're amazing.
You're awesome.
So are you.
We love that guy.
Yeah.
We love him.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon, if he ever sees this, he's going to be like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it all wrong.
Give it up.
Write us at whatstracking@gmail.com. Sign up for the giveaway, but also let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you want to hear about. Let us know what you want to learn about. And we want to provide that information for you if at all possible. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you next week.